Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, with a mini review for you. Yeah, it's been a while, but I've been working on what's become my longest video ever, an hour-long review of the kinda divisive Halloween 2018. It's gonna be a comprehensive review, and also heavily reflect on its place in the franchise. I've decided that Patreon supporters will get to see it early, cut up into parts as I edit it, but everybody here on YouTube will get to see the full 1-hour vid when it's eventually totally finished. FYI, part 1 is up now, and part 2 will be up not too long after this vid. Speaking of this vid is a review of Shazam.
I'm bulletproof. You're dead.
Yeah, I know Us and Pet Sematary came out pretty damn recently, but I didn't see them. I'll try to change that soon and review them, if not while they're in theaters, then when they're on DVD and I actually have clips besides trailers to use. Don't ruin them for me, please, don't. Please don't ruin them for me. I did see Shazam, though, and I thought I might as well get a review of something relevant up in the meantime while I work on a big project. I'm trying to exclusively be a horror channel and skip coverage on the mainstream blockbusters, but Shazam was a movie I happen to have seen, and honestly, I was looking forward to this movie more than the aforementioned horror films. I'm a DC guy over Marvel by far. The only Marvel character I like is Spider-Man, in the same way the only DC characters Marvel fans will like is Batman. DC live-action films, though, have been a little rocky for me. Man of Steel was okay, but maybe a little too Michael Bay-ish and self-serious, and then it just led to the overstuffed universe-launching effort of Batman v Superman, which was just dour. Suicide Squad was like a hot topic threw up into my eyes, and Justice League was just a whole lot of CGI nonsense. Superman's CG mustache-hiding upper lip will haunt my nightmares. I feel like things have been turning around now, though, and there's been a much-needed shift in priorities for DC's films. I enjoyed Aquaman, and I've been watching Doom Patrol every week on the DC Universe app. I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, but I've heard good things. Titans seem to be a little too dark and edgy for a Teen Titans show, though, but by and large, things are looking up for DC, and I'm even more confident about that after seeing Shazam. Now, I know Shazam wasn't originally a DC character, having a complicated legal history. Hell, he wasn't even named Shazam originally. I know him as Captain Marvel, and it kinda sucks seeing Marvel appropriate the name. It stings a little bit as a DC fan. I did see the Marvel Captain Marvel, though, and I thought it was alright. I had a typical reaction towards it as a Marvel movie. It still stings that I can't call the original Captain Marvel by his actual name and instead have to refer to him by the Wizard's name. Frustrating.
Shazam. Are you for real? Say, okay!
The movie actually makes some jokes about Shazam's naming situation. The character constantly dons multiple bad superhero names and never really lands on Shazam officially. So he'll call himself Thundercrack and shit like that. Solid gag. Doesn't lessen the sting, though.
His name is Captain Sparklefingers.
No, it's not. That's not my name.
If you don't know who Captain Shazam is, though, let me enlighten you. Shazam is an ordinary boy named Billy Batson who encounters a wizard that imbues him with the powers of Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, you know, just a bunch of Greek legends. And Shazam is actually an acronym for all their names put together. When Billy says Shazam, he becomes a full-grown dude played by Zachary Levi, who wears a red suit with a thunderbolt on his chest and kinda looks like Jimmy Fallon, but actually funny.
What are your superpowers?
Superpowers, dude? I don't even know how to pee in this thing.
The movie plays out like a superhero version of Big, and there's even a nice nod to that film that I really enjoyed. The classic comics kind of made Shazam more of a stoic, straightforward force for good, but this movie really leans into Shazam being a kid, which separates him more from Superman. Shazam, for most of the movie, just revels in his powers of flight and lightning, using his impressiveness for his own gain, or even just takes advantage of the fact that he's an adult now to do mundane shit like buy beer.
I'd like to purchase some of your finest beer, please.
I can understand some Captain Marvel purists taking offense to this version of the character. It's definitely a departure from the classic roots, and Shazam seems to become even stupider as the adult superhero. Like, there's a real disparity in how Billy and Shazam act, I think, which is weird since he's supposed to have the wisdom of Solomon, but overall, I think the take on Shazam works as a modern revamp of the character. Shazam is a kid of today with the powers of a superhero in the body of an adult. Asher Angel is relatable and sympathetic as Billy, and Zachary Levi is delightful as Shazam. Now, what separates Shazam further as a superhero is that he's not just a kid, but an orphan. He was separated from his mom as a tot, and his whole ambition for the film is tracking her down, all the while skipping out on dozens of foster families. Before becoming a superhero, Billy winds up in the care of a very different foster family. It's nothing but foster kids, and even Billy's new foster parents were foster kids themselves. It's really a breath of fresh air to see a character with this kind of background in a movie, and the family dynamic is surprisingly wonderful. I really like Billy's foster family, and the flick carries a heartwarming message about what really makes a family. It really isn't the bullshit pumping through your veins that makes a family. You can choose your family and find it in the most unlikely places. Of course, the standout of Billy's foster siblings is Freddy, played by Jack Dylan Grazer, who is a disabled kid that's really enthusiastic about superheroes, especially idolizing Superman.
Look, I know we're not really close friends or anything, but you're the only person that I know that knows anything about this Cape Crusader stuff.
It's Batman.
What?
Forget it.
And Freddy helps Billy navigate his superhero persona, but Freddy's not the best mentor, being a kid himself. At first, I was kind of annoyed by Billy's character. He kind of reminds me of the kid from Jurassic Park, a loud know-it-all, but he's a relatable nerd that turns out to be the real heart of Shazam as a superhero.
You look at me and you're like, why so dark? You're a disabled foster kid. You've got it all.
Now, you're probably wondering what the villain of the movie is. Well, I was kind of wondering that myself. I've been hearing about The Rock playing Black Adam for years, who's a kind of corrupted Egyptian version of Shazam, and the movie does reference the character, but Black Adam himself never appears, and he doesn't seem to be set up for a sequel either. It wasn't until after I watched the movie that I found out that Black Adam is getting a solo spin-off, which is kinda weird. I mean, are Shazam and Black Adam gonna even meet, or what? Ah, whatever. This film actually uses Dr. Sivana, played by Mark Strong, as the villain, one of Shazam's oldest foes and his arch nemesis. I was not familiar with him, but in the original comics, he's a mad scientist, which was typical for superheroes at the time, like Superman's original Lex Luthor, who was a mad scientist. He built like a floating city.
Give me your power. Or die.
Oh, snap. You're like a bad guy, right? Okay. Look, before this gets really stupid for you, you should know that I'm basically invincible. So you know.
The film's Dr. Sivana is actually also a corrupted version of Shazam. Sivana was selected as a child to be the wizard Shazam's successor, but was rejected because he was tempted by the powers of the evil he was supposed to protect the world from. Sivana, of course, wanted the power even in adulthood and seeks it out, returning to the wizard Shazam's lair for a magic evil ball that goes inside his eye. Sivana's powers are largely the same as Shazam's, except he can make scary fog happen, and he commands these evil minions called the Seven Deadly Sins, which is surprisingly Christian for a thing that uses Greek mythology. Mark Strong is good in the role of Sivana. He's not that deep of a villain beyond his total resentment towards his father and brother, but Sivana works as just this old-school Golden Age villain. Sivana is kind of an anachronism as a villain today. He's this over-the-top bald dude with a scary eye who dresses like he's headed to Studio 54 and who commands literal demons, but it works for this less serious flick, and it sets him apart from all the not-so-interesting Marvel villains. Like, I'm not totally sure what Sivana wants besides world domination and why he bothers with Shazam when Shazam isn't even trying to be a superhero at first, but it's nice to see a villain just trying to be an evil guy. I do feel like his abilities are a bit convoluted. I don't think he needed the team of deadly sins as literal demons. I think they look way too fucking extreme for how lighthearted this movie is, and I don't think the sins are used that well. There's a reason the sins weren't in the trailers, and I don't think it's for the surprise. I think it's because they feel out of place in the movie.
I can fly!
Overall, Shazam is a joy to watch. I feel like it's a genuinely human superhero movie in a time when superhero films are becoming soulless. Like, Spider-Man in the MCU doesn't have to worry about shit. He's got all the money in the world with S.H.I.E.L.D., and I just don't give a shit about him. Billy Batson has struggles, though, and the movie never loses sight of Shazam as being a human deep down. Shazam is a modest superhero film. It's not an overblown effects extravaganza, and thankfully, the most damage Shazam will do to a building when he crashes into it is breaking windows. He's not destroying cities and killing who knows how many people. Despite Shazam having superhuman abilities, he still feels like a street-level character who doesn't act like he's above the people he protects. At this point in the Marvel universe, it feels like all the characters are superheroes. Where are the fucking people at this point? Shazam never loses sight of the ordinary. Battles take place in shopping malls, and it's considered a feat when Billy saves a bus that he accidentally caused to crash in the first place.
Yeah, you electrocuted a bus and almost killed these people.
And then I caught it!
Shazam's most unexpected power is his humanity, and the film is a blast because of it. Also, it takes place around Christmas, so it'll be a good double feature with Batman Returns. Oh boy, yeah. So yeah, I really dug Shazam. The plot kinda gets a little muddled toward the end, and it feels like the threat can't be taken all that seriously, but Zachary Levi is so magnetic as the character, and the flick has a lot of heart, so the minor flaws don't really matter too much. I appreciate DC's shift in direction regarding its film and TV efforts. I think what will ultimately separate DC and Marvel at the cinema is DC letting the characters dictate the story and tone of a movie instead of the universe. Like, Marvel is way too focused on connecting shit and self-references, and I think it's gonna lead to their downfall. I just want to see good, self-contained stories at this point instead of tedious universe building, and I think Shazam and the Joker film coming out are good examples of DC's virtues right now. I give Shazam a Captain Sparklefingers out of Scary Eye. Shazam! It was worth a try. Oh, also, thanks for getting me to 80,000 subscribers, and I'd especially like to thank all of my supporters on Patreon over the years. Wouldn't still be here without you guys. If you like this video, like it. But if you loved it, subscribe. Also, follow me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Wolfula. Thanks again, y'all. See you in the next video. Hopefully it's soon.